Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Thomas Park. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be saying 5 reasons why you might want to switch to NordVPN instead of using iVPN, or 5 things NordVPN does better than iVPN. Now, just to be clear guys, iVPN isn't the worst VPN in the world, and this video is not meant to slander or defame or talk shit about iVPN in general. And in fact, before I kind of start this video, I'll go off by listing some of the reasons iVPN is better than Nord, because I do believe iVPN kind of has a grudge against affiliates that don't like its product, and they even kind of say as much on their website, and they have kind of talked shit about my channel before. So let's very quickly go over some of the reasons why iVPN is better, because I feel like iVPN might get offended in this video. iVPN has way less tracking on its website. It doesn't use any ad trackers or cookies or even use Google Analytics. That's definitely a pro from iVPN. NordVPN doesn't do this. They have a lot of ad trackers and cookies, and they run their website more like a traditional kind of internet business, and that could be one reason why they're valued at $3 billion. And some of this money, an argument could be made that they use this money to further improve their product offering and further improve privacy and anonymity, but that's a kind of a discussion for a different day. I also think that iVPN is a little bit more transparent with its product offering, and they really don't have any marketing or copy language on their website at all. They literally don't make any claims, which one might argue makes them like they don't really have to back up any claims because they barely even make any. And you know, you could make an argument for that if that is kind of the thing you like. I also think their pricing is a little bit more transparent. It's expensive, but they keep it at that same price, whereas NordVPN has a little bit more marketing tricks and a little bit more subscription tricks up its sleeves for what it does. You get a better deal, but you also have to be careful for some of those renewal fees. iVPN also has pretty much copied Mulvad's exact account creation system, meaning you don't need any email or anything like that. For the rest of the product offering, they're pretty decent, good speeds, decent security, lots of audits and stuff like that. This except Monero, which is good too. iVPN is a pretty reputable VPN provider, at least in terms of security and privacy. But that said, just like every VPN in the world, it does have shortcomings. So in this video, we're going to discuss some of the pros of NordVPN that might be some of the cons of iVPN, so you might want to think about switching over perhaps. I'll be putting links for Nord and iVPN in the description down below. The link with Nord should get you the best available discount. With iVPN, they don't really give any discounted links or anything like that, and they don't have an affiliate program either. They actually removed it a couple of years ago, and now to this date, they don't really support content creators or offer any affiliate programs. But make no mistake, this video is completely unbiased and it does not sponsor any of these VPNs, and neither of them pay me to make this specific video. So guys, let's go ahead and discuss. So guys, one of the first categories I want to discuss is innovation. In my opinion, NordVPN might be a little bit more innovative than iVPN, or at least they're doing things that aren't necessarily copying other VPNs. Now, what features exactly am I talking about when it comes to Nord? Well, first I do want to talk about some of the extra bundles with NordVPN. We do have a couple extra things from Nord that some of the other VPNs aren't offering. Now, we have cloud storage, and a cross-platform password manager, as well as fire encryption. Now, Proton is really the only other VPN that kind of competes with Nord in these specific categories, so I do think it is kind of unique from a VPN provider to also offer some extra products within their ecosystem that people could take advantage of if they like the ecosystem they're using. Additionally, NordVPN also has this cool thing called Nord MeshNet. Now, this is probably the only VPN out there that has this unique kind of feature. It lets you kind of remote into your home network or share files across LAN, or even if you're set up your Plex server connected with NordVPN, you could watch it remotely even if you're at a hotel. There's a lot of other different ways to take advantage of this. Like you could do it for gaming, you could connect NordVPN and your friend could connect, and then you could play essentially on the same LAN server even if you're not on the same Wi-Fi. So there's a lot of cool benefits for it. There really isn't any other VPN doing this exact implementation like this. Now, Mulvad does have a partnership with Tailscale, and Tailscale is pretty similar in a lot of ways, but it's not quite implemented the same way. It's not quite as easy to use as it is with Nord, and Nord does make this feature free, which is pretty cool. They're not increasing the cost or making an add-on or anything like that. But am I saying that maybe perhaps their $3 billion valuation is giving them some extra funds to develop some cool things that not many other VPNs are? Well, probably. But now we can talk about iVPN, and well, I think in some ways the iVPN team seems more like a copycat kind of idea. When we look at iVPN, some of the things that they've posted blogs about, some updates with the product, we can see this, quantum resistant WireGuard VPN connections. Now this blog post was posted on August 7th, but it's interesting to see that another VPN product did that just this year. And it's also a VPN product that I noticed iVPN really seems to kind of follow along and kind of do similar things too. It seems to kind of copy them a little bit. And which VPN is that? Well, that's Mullvad. Mullvad in April 6 also released quantum resistant tunnels. Now, these are really the only two VPNs doing this. And I think it's interesting because, in my opinion at least, and I made a video talking about this on Mullvad, it's kind of a useless update. When you look at some of the research what quantum encryption is, most of the news articles you'll find in research says it's going to be probably until the 2030s and early 2040s. Now you might point to a IBM computer called Condor and research and stuff like this from IBM, but you know, most people seem to be pretty skeptical about how advanced this technology is, and I mean if it'll be able to crack WireGuard. Now if this were theoretically possible, you could be sure that Jason Donenfeld out there in some lair in France or wherever he is, he's going to probably make an update to WireGuard to make sure that this doesn't happen, and every VPN will do it very quickly. But I do think it is still very premature, and at this point it's just kind of marketing. I even found this interesting person on Reddit saying, I've personally served as a project lead for an implementation of IBM Watson's health platform and a major hospital network. They're grossly incompetent and downright dishonest about their technology offerings. They sold their platform to our executives as a miracle platform that leverages Watson to do all this complicated data mapping, aggregation, and analysis, then pulled the rug on us when we signed contracts and revealed that the overwhelming majority of this work was deemed being done by actual incompetent, unqualified humans. The only thing that Watson AI was even tacitly involved in was calculating a clinical risk score that in our own analysis barely competed with Medicare's HCC risk scoring. It was one of the most frustrating products I've ever worked on. This guy also says, I do not believe them one bit. Quantum computing is not commercially viable and won't be for some time. It requires extraordinary cooling machinery that only science labs can operate and maintain because these chips need to be near 0 Kelvin to work. They're putting this out there to make it seem like they're ready to roll out to businesses, when in reality this changes nothing and will be something that is only practical in highly funded research labs just as it is today. So if you're someone who thinks that quantum computer is here and that IBM is going to put it out tomorrow and it's going to break the entire world's technological framework of encryption, well then I hate to break it to you, I just don't think that's very likely. These tech companies always like to overhype things and keep that in mind. Honestly, for Mullvad, I thought it was just kind of like a marketing play. They even say here in this one, they're saying the encryption used by WireGuard has no known vulnerabilities. Strong enough quantum computers have yet to be demonstrated. So it's really like an update to protect against something that's not even really a threat. I mean, in 10 to 15 years, would this be cool? Yeah, probably. But right now, it just seems kind of like marketing fluff, in my opinion. So it seems kind of like iVPN is doing kind of the same thing. It's interesting to me that they also are doing quantum encryption this way. So yeah, it's interesting to see that. I think Mullvad's blog post about this is actually a little bit better because iVPN doesn't really make clear that it's not really a threat yet, and quantum computers don't really exist yet in this way. So I do think Mullvad's post is better than this one, and this one is a little bit more misleading, making it seem like quantum computers could crack encryption theoretically. It doesn't really say anything about the fact that it's not really an issue yet. So you might be, okay, well, Tom, this maybe it's just this one example, one fluke. Well, I've also noticed that they also put out an update for something called V2Ray. Now, this was done just a month ago, and you can find information about this here. So you might be thinking, is iVPN the only VPN with V2Ray? Well, not really. TorGuard is actually the first VPN that I know of that has implemented V2Ray connections, and you can see that here with their proxy plans. But I also think iVPN has also kind of copied its kind of account creation system from Mullvad. Now, Mullvad is kind of known as the VPN to make it so you have like an account creation code, and you can see iVPN has done the exact same thing. Interestingly enough, they even copied Mullvad's yearly price. Mullvad is around $60 per year, and iVPN is also $60 per year. That said, unlike Mullvad, iVPN does have upcharges. They charge you more to have extra features like multi-hop and more than 2 devices. Now, am I saying that iVPN should just let every VPN innovate and stuff like that, and they shouldn't really copy any of the other cool features from other providers? Well, not really. But the problem, or like the kind of issue I have with it, is that a lots of times they're kind of talking shit on their blogs and kind of making it seem like if you choose other VPN besides iVPN, you're not picking the right one. And they've also made a couple other posts too, like this one, talking about how a lot of VPNs are mismarketing and making problems with their advertising. They're criticizing Proton for saying our anonymous VPN enables internet without surveillance. They're criticizing some other VPNs like VPN, Total Security and Privacy. They're criticizing TorGuard for saying that it's a fast VPN. They're also criticizing that, TorGuard claims it's the best VPN for Australia, and they listed all these different VPNs here for the problematic kind of marketing on their website. Now, iVPN's defense against doing this is just to make their copy and stuff like that on their website as boring as possible and make pretty much no claims. They don't really say that their VPN is fast. Let's see, does it say that's fast? It doesn't say that's fast. Does it say that's secure? It doesn't say that's secure. So yeah, I guess if you want to make the argument that like if you don't make any claims, then none of the claims are ever going to be like tested or anything like that. I guess sure, you can make that claim. And yeah, I do think marketing and misadvertising and stuff like that in the VPN space is a big problem. But if you're specifically criticizing VPNs all the time and making blog posts about why they're always doing things wrong, but at the same time, it seems like kind of like you're copying their features and what they're doing, it kind of leaves less credibility to the argument. That said, I do have issues with their no fake reviews. We never pay for reviews and do not have an affiliate program, so we not find us in any of the top 10 best VPN lists. I mean, I've given plenty of examples in this video already. I can't really think of anything that iVPN has done differently than any other VPN. If you want that anonymous account creation, go to Mulvad. If you want the cheapest VPN, maybe go to TorGuard or Mulvad per month. If you want a VPN that already had an anonymous account creation, go to Mulvad. Or maybe the topic of this video, if you want the VPN that has the biggest server network and works best to unblock streaming services and maybe has a really cool meshnet feature as well as some other cool bundles you could take advantage of, well, maybe go for NordVPN. If you want a VPN that already had V2RA, go to something like TorGuard. iVPN doesn't really have any truly innovative thing that I've found that they've done first. But at the same time, it seems like they want all the credit. It just seems kind of like a Me Too product. Maybe if you want a VPN that supports port forwarding and gives you the best speeds while torrenting, you probably don't want to pick iVPN because they just removed port forwarding right after Mulvad ended up doing it. If you want a VPN that does support port forwarding, go with TorGuard. iVPN makes a point on their blogs to say how misleading TorGuard is with its marketing, and they say they're fast and anonymous VPN, and that's the best VPN. Well, I don't know if that really is misleading. If they are the best VPN aggregately on my tier list, it does mean they're doing something right. And maybe iVPN should make a blog post saying, if they really want to be transparent and as honest as possible, maybe they should make a blog post saying, hey, we're not the VPN that has the most servers. We're not the VPN that supports port forwarding. We're not the VPN to innovate on these things first. Maybe they should make a pros and cons of their service and why other services might be better if they want to kind of go on this tangent of being honest and transparent as possible. But I haven't really seen that from their blog. It just seems like they want to kind of point fingers on other VPNs doing specific things bad and then ignore the fact that they also have their own shortcomings. And in fact, I do believe one of the reasons some of the VPNs like iVPN remove their affiliate program is they realize they can't really compete with some of the bigger VPNs out there in total amount of features. And so it's kind of like a virtue signaling saying like, hey, we're better than those other guys. We don't have an affiliate program. I do kind of think that is what it is. That said, let's go ahead and talk about some of the more kind of detail-oriented things and the differences between the products and why you might choose Nord over iVPN. Well, number one, you can get Nord standard plan for cheaper than iVPN. It's $102 for the first 2 years. This also includes streaming compatibility, which means that NordVPN is going to work to unblock geo restrictions on Netflix and other platforms. So if you're in the United States, you can watch the Japanese version of Netflix and vice versa. Or if you're traveling, that's also very useful. iVPN does not have any streaming compatibility, and it's also more expensive. It's going to be $160 for the first 2 years. That said, iVPN is stable in its pricing for the next 2 years. After that, it will also be $160. So there is some transparency there that I do like. So iVPN has around 77 servers in 44 cities in 31 countries. So that is an okay amount, but it's not really going to hold a candle to NordVPN's 6,000 servers in 60 countries. It's a much bigger VPN and it has a much bigger reach. And chances are, if you're around the world, you're probably going to get better speeds with Nord than iVPN. At least that it is what, in my case, I did get better speeds with Nord. They do have more servers and stuff like that. Of course, they do have more people using it, but they also have way more coverage around the world. And that's just an advantage of being a bigger VPN. So that's a pro for Nord. I already kind of mentioned the streaming compatibility thing, but some of the other reasons you might find Nord more useful perhaps is that they do have dedicated IP support. On checkout, you could find that you could pick a dedicated IP, and this can be useful for restricting captchas and stuff like that. It gives you a unique IP so you don't get annoying like, are you sure this is you? Have to verify email and stuff like that. iVPN doesn't believe in dedicated IPs because they think it compromises user privacy, despite the fact that it is an anonymous IP. You might be the only one using it, and maybe like after a couple of years, some of these websites might triangulate maybe this specific user to this specific VPN or something like that. But chances are, if you're just using a VPN normally, not doing anything nefarious with that IP, it is going to provide some benefit for you to just be able to browse a little bit more anonymously and not have as much annoyance. So there is a pro there, and iVPN doesn't offer those. So guys, in summation, why should you maybe switch from iVPN to Nord? What are some of the total cons and advantages of each product? Well, NordVPN for the first 2 years at least, and then for like the third year, it is going to be cheaper than iVPN. You're going to get streaming compatibility as well, which makes it a little bit better of a deal in my opinion, and you're going to get more simultaneous devices. I think Nord offers around 8, and iVPN only offers 7. Nord also allows you to use dedicated IPs, which is useful for some convenience factor. They have a bigger server network, which means you might get better speeds depending on where you are. And I do believe Nord does seem to be a little bit more innovative, at least compared to iVPN, whereas I've given you some examples of how iVPN is kind of piggybacking off some other VPNs that do things a little bit better. You know, Molvad has this quantum resistant encryption. Molvad has an anonymous account creation system. Torgord has V2 Ray, and iVPN is kind of pick and choosing those different features, but kind of doing it a little bit more expensive. It's a little bit more expensive than Molvad. Anyways, guys, those are just my opinions, though. You're free to have your own and list them down in the comments down below, and I'll see you again very soon.